We have a 777 in front of us. That's something I should know something about. We have a livery on this aircraft model featuring something I know absolutely nothing about. So what could possibly go wrong? Well, let's find out, and let's find out how JC Wings has done with their printing techniques on such an elaborate livery. And we can do all that today thanks to our great partner here on the channel, Jumbolino Model, who have lovely models at reasonable prices with great service. And the best of all, they are collectors themselves, so they really do understand where we are coming from. So I can highly recommend them to you. You can find a link to them in the video description below. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Boeing 777-200ER in a special livery of ANA, or All Nippon Airways. At the front of the box we have this lovely design with the rendition of the aircraft model and the ANA branding. These elements are then continued on the back side. Here we have another rendition, a top view down to the aircraft. We of course also have the ANA branding. We have the specifications of the aircraft. That's quite lovely. And we can also see that this is actually a model that has been featured both in the standard version, as we see here, and also as a flaps down version. So quite lovely box design overall from JC Wings. And here she is, the Boeing 777-200ER in the special Demon Slayer livery of ANA. And if I'm wrong here, then please do correct me. I'm just using my very extraordinary Google skills here, trying to figure out what this livery is about. I have zero clue. But Demon Slayer is a Japanese manga, which I assume has several books, and also had a TV series, according to IMDb, running from 2019 to 2024. The livery on this aircraft was featured from around September 2022 to sometime mid-2024. So the aircraft today is not flying in this livery anymore. But regardless of all that, the model will require some extraordinary printing skills. So let's see how JC Wings has done with the model. And we start off with the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have the ANA branding. We also have some detailing on the horizontal stabilizer. Now, on the fuselage, we then find the ANA branding with the company slogan, Inspiration of Japan. We have a lovely amount of detailing in the back cabin door. We, of course, find the Japanese flag, the full registration code of the aircraft, and then a bunch of small markings and hatches here and there. Really, really lovely stuff on this part of the aircraft. Also very lovely, actually, both physical and printed detailing around the APU exhaust. Now, at the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, we don't find the ANA branding, as it is not featured across the fuselage, apart from the back part, as we just saw. But we have, well, these characters, I assume, from this manga. And as you can see, this is really, really intricate printing. I mean, so many colors, so many thin lines across the fuselage. But it looks really spectacular on this aircraft model. So printing techniques on point, I would say, here from JC Wings. But at the front of the aircraft, apart from all these lovely printed details from the livery itself, we of course again find a bunch of detailing in the front cabin door. We have loads of small hatches, sensors, static boards. We also have a few more markings next to the cabin door, also including, of course, the Star Alliance logo, of which ANA is a full member. Now, the pedo tubes around the cockpit section we, of course, have, as well as the cockpit windows with the metallic edges and the window wipers. And also notice the lovely detailing around the radome at the front of the aircraft. The nose here, very lovely looking overall. So again, here quite a lot of detailing put onto the aircraft model. And this is the same story for the engine nacelles. They have been kept in all white, but have, of course, the silver leading edge. Again, a bunch of markings, hatches, safety markings, for example, and then this logo, which again I think relates to a Demon Slayer. Now, apart from all these printed details that we have here en masse on this engine, we also have a lovely bit of physical detailing, including here when we look into the front, and very nice you can see the engine fan blades.
Oh my god, look at all these lovely models. Oh, I'm sorry that I interrupt your review, but we'll get back to that model in just a second. But just check out all these lovely models. And perhaps you're like me and you just don't know which one you should add next to your collection, because here you're truly spoiled for choice with all the scales and all the die-cast manufacturers that you can find at the Jumbolino Model store. So do check them out. You can find a link to them in the video description below.
Now on the wings, We also have a bunch of details that are worth mentioning. We do have the different flap slats and spoilers carved out quite nicely. We have the markings as to where to walk on the wing, not just with the thin line, but also actually in writing. Very nice. We also have the full registration code of the aircraft on one side. On the other side, we find the Japanese sun. The Japanese sun we then also find on the underside of the wing, alongside more nice physical detailing and again the full registration code of the aircraft. My highlight on the wings, however, is the addition of the landing lights. The landing gear, as it is quite normal in scale 400, is made entirely out of metal, except of course for the wheels themselves. They are made out of plastic. Now I think the main landing gear looks really nice. Also the front landing gear really not too shabby. Especially nice here of course are the amount of printed details we find on it. Now this aircraft does have the feature of rolling wheel. I have discussed this in previous videos that I don't quite get this feature for a true to scale diecast model, but I think there are quite many out there that actually do prefer this. So yeah, the model does have that. What it also has is another bunch of printed details on the belly of the aircraft. This is really quite staggering how many printed details JC Wings has managed to add to this aircraft model. There is also a hole in the fuselage for a stand that is not included with this aircraft model, but it doesn't destroy any of these many printed details. One that I want to highlight here is the ram air intakes, which I think looks really nice, a combination of physical detailing and printed detailing. And of course we also have a bunch of antennas on this aircraft model, both on the belly, but also especially on top of the fuselage, where we then have the combination of both antennas, sat domes and printed details, making this model look really, really lovely. And finally, or last but not least, we do of course also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the tail of the aircraft and also here at the front of the aircraft. And so there we have it, the Boeing 777-200ER in the special Demon Slayer livery of ANA in scale 1 to 400 from JC Wings. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Well, firstly, while I'm fairly confident that I managed to figure out that it is Demon Slayer, if I really am wrong, then I hope you have by now corrected me in the comment section down below, so at least I can correct the title of the video. And yeah, then you can shame me in the comments for not knowing my mangas. But since I don't know anything about that, let's focus on the model itself, because I do think that I know something about that. Now, when it comes to the printed detailing, I have already alluded to that I think this is really impressive work from JC Wings. These extraordinary fine details in these characters and the color changes, they have managed to replicate really, really very well. And I think, yeah, this is really at the top range of these kind of prints we have seen so far in the diecast world. This is really, really nicely done. It's not my favorite livery personally, but I can really appreciate the amount of effort that has gone into printing this on the model. It must have been a pain in the behind. In any case, we also have a lot of really lovely details relating to the aircraft model. And that's the nice thing with this model as well, is that yes, we have this super elaborate livery, even though it contains so much white, but JC Wings has not skipped out on details that relate to the aircraft model itself. And that's really nice, because we still have a whole bunch of markings, sensors, hatches, all that good stuff that adds so much to an aircraft model. And then we should also talk a little bit about the physical detailing, which I overall think is really lovely on this aircraft model as well. I think the 777 mode of JC Wings is quite nice. I really do like the engines. They look brilliant, I think. One thing, however, that I'm a little bit hesitant about here is actually the height of the aircraft. Now, I actually don't think that JC Wing has done anything wrong with this aircraft model. But for me, the landing gear looks just a tiny bit too tall. Now, there is this effect that if you take real-life details and shrink them down, you might be 100% accurate in your calculations, but it just looks a bit off when you have scaled it down. And I think this is what plays into this model, for me at least. As I say, I don't think they are wrong with the height of the landing gear, but for me it just looks a bit tall. So yeah, that's one thing that I have noticed, but apart from that, this is a brilliant model. I mean, yeah, they have really managed to get pretty much the best of all from the printing side and the physical detailing. So I'm really quite impressed with this aircraft model. But what do you think about it? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And with that, we have reached the end of today's episode. If you have enjoyed this review, then please feel free to leave a like. If you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.